This is the last video in a 5-part series on preparing for an interview. In the previous videos, we've gone over how to prepare your answers for common interview questions. Today we'll discuss things like body language, humor, and expression, and how to use them to your advantage in an interview. First, let's look at the complete mock interview from the series. What do you notice about how I present myself in the interview? What do your postures and facial expressions say to you?
Hello, Mrs. Smith. I'm Vasily Musienko. Thanks so much for coming in.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks so much for meeting with me.
Of course. Did you have any trouble finding the office?
No, the directions on your website were great.
Good. Would you like some coffee or water before we begin?
I'm okay, thank you.
All right. So, to get started, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I studied at the University of Florida and graduated in 2010 with a master's degree in toy design. After graduation, I was hired at Happy Kids Creative. I've been there for the past 5 years and am currently the director of toy production. During that time, sales have grown steadily. It's been a great experience, but I've run out of room to grow with HKC and I'm looking for new opportunities. I have a lot of experience leading teams in the creative process and finding new markets for the product that we create.
That's great. Can you tell me how you heard about this position?
Of course, a friend of mine saw the position listed on LinkedIn and forwarded it to me. So I spent some time on your website learning about the position and the company. I also read an article in Business Weekly about your work that really got me interested.
What attracted you to our company?
To be honest, what really caught my eye was your focus on growth. I was really impressed with your combination goals and the clear plan you have for achieving these goals. I also like the support you provide for your employees. I love your continuing education initiatives where you pay for employees to educate themselves in new technique and skill sets. I think that really helps to build employee satisfaction and loyalty.
You obviously done your homework. What would you say is your greatest strength?
I would say my greatest strength is a combination of enthusiasm and persistence. My work ethic won't let me settle for less than my best. I'm able to persevere through challenges and setbacks without falling into frustrations or anger. I've noticed that this tends to keep those around me in good spirits as well, which is a plus.
Can you tell me about a time when you suffered a setback and had to maintain your enthusiasm?
Sure. One definitely comes to mind. Last year, a project for a new toy was in its final stages after 2 years of work. As we were looking at the branding and working up a final marketing plan, a competitor launched a version of the exact same toy that we were launching. As the leader of the project, I knew that my reaction would set the tone for the group. I acknowledged that it was a setback, but challenged the group to think of this as a blessing in disguise. I asked them to go out and buy the competitors' products and make a list of anything they wished the toy could do that it didn't. It turned out that the list was pretty long. We added these items to our toy and launched a far superior product 6 months later. So in many ways, the competitor's product became the key to our success.
Well, that sounds like a great victory. Now, what would you consider your greatest weakness?
Chocolates. Just kidding. No, my biggest weakness is public speaking. It's something that I've spent a lot of time working on and in which I've improved a great deal. I'm very comfortable in smaller meetings with my teams, but when I present an idea or concept to a larger audience, I still experience some stage fright. At this point, I can handle these situations professionally, but I would like to be more comfort in this moment so I can really enjoy the experience of presenting rather than just survive it.
Fear of public speaking is a very common fear, and I'm in the same boat in that one. But where do you see yourself in 5 years?
As I mentioned before, I'm interested in growth. In 5 years, I would like to be a part of a company growing its business on a regular and consistent basis. I'd like to be in a vice-president position with a focus on development, and while I know that would require much more public speaking, in 5 years I plan on being ready for it.
Okay, well, I have everything I need, but do you have any questions for me about the company or the position?
Yes. Imagine you're looking back on this hiring decision in a year. The person you hired has exceeded your expectations. What did he or she do that impressed you most?
Well, that's a great question. I think in 1 year the person would have come in and spent some time learning from the team and people that have been here a while. Then she or he will start making changes in an informed way. In 1 year, I want this person's team to be a well-oiled machine. I want them to be bouncing ideas off each other and coming up with new designs and making headway into new markets.
That's helpful. It's good to know what the expectations are. Can you tell me about the team that I would be working with?
Sure. I believe all of them have been with the company for over 5 years, and they know the ropes. I would say there's a little bit of frustration currently because of our lack of growth. This will be the 3rd time we've brought in a new team leader in 4 years.
Do you know what's causing the kinds of rapid turnover?
To be honest, the last 3 team leaders have been hired from within the company, and sometimes it is hard to think outside the box when you've been inside the box for a while. We are hoping to bring in some new ideas and energy and get our development team back on track.
That makes sense. I really appreciate that you're considering me for the position. I'd love to be a part of the company achieving its goals.
Very good, okay. That's great. Thanks so much for coming in, Rachel. It's great to meet you. I'll give you a call in the next 3 days.
Sounds good. I look forward to it. Thanks again.
My pleasure.
First, let's talk about the handshake. A long time ago, women used to shake hands more like this. But now, men and women alike use the same handshake, putting your right hand forward. Make it firm, but not too tight or aggressive. A firm handshake makes a good first impression.
Hello, Mrs. Smith. I'm Vasily Musienko. Thanks so much for coming in.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks so much for meeting with me.
Of course.
Let's look at the posture of the interview. It's good to sit upright and look alert. You don't want to slump back or slouch. That's a bit too casual for a job interview. Don't sit stiffly, but do sit upright with a good energy. Let's look at facial expressions. Notice that the face is very engaged. She looks excited and happy. That's the message you want to send. It's not unprofessional to be energized. In some cultures, it might be professional to be more reserved, but in America, to be friendly, engaged demeanor is important. Watch her face as she listens to the interview questions. Smiling and nodding are a way to show that you are engaged and listening. When watching the interview, did you notice she made a joke?
Now, what would you consider your greatest weakness?
Chocolates.
Using humor, making a joke in an interview can show your personality, but limit it to maybe 1 or 2 moments. Otherwise, it will distract from the other important things you want to say. This wraps up our interview series. I hope it helps you prepare for job interviews in the US. How does this compare to your culture? Are interviews more casual or more formal?